It's time to start on our section 3 for our So Happy quilt. Are you ready? Hey everyone, Cristin here, and we are continuing with our Oh So Delightful So Happy quilt. So we finished up section 2 yesterday and attached it to section 1. Isn't that so cute? I can't wait to have this hanging in my craft room. I think this will be so fun. So we are coming along really well, and so we are going to start on section 3 now. So section 3 is going to start with our spool of thread. These are going to be really cute. By the way, my little doll is sitting here. Have you made the swaddle, sweeties? I still haven't added the hair, but I stuffed her and stitched her up yesterday. So cute. So if you haven't joined us on that, check in Cristin Creates, go to playlists, and then there's a whole playlist for the swaddle sweeties, and they're just so cute. I promise it'll be even cuter once it's got hair. Anyway, super fun. I'm loving making this for one of my granddaughters. So anyway, back to Oh So Delightful. So today we are going to work on Spool of Thread. It's on page 17, and there's quite a few pieces to this one. This one is going to be some work to it. So there's a few things. You can do this. There's going to be 3. We're going to do all 3, and we do need all 3 right now. So you do want to complete all 3. It's not like we're, working ahead like we're doing on Red, White, and Bloom. This one, we will need all 3 of them right now. So you do want to do all 3. You can do them each one in one hooping. You can do all 3 in one hooping. You can do 2, whatever works for you. And for your embroidery software skills and your hooping size and all of that. I'm going to try and do all 3 in one hooping. I don't think it'll be a problem, but it will take some work to it. So if you joined us for the flying geese and you did that in one hooping, actually that one probably will be easier. This one, there's a lot of parts to it, and we're going to join them all. So it's going to be really interesting, actually. We did this on the log cabin blocks for spring showers, and all of us learned a lot about Embrollion's Essentials at that point. So this will be a fun one. It'll be a good stretch exercise for us, for those that choose to do multiples in a hooping. And again, totally optional. So let's go ahead and go over what we need for today. Grab your packet if you did the packets. The spool of thread is on page 17 of our book. So I'm just going to go over the fabrics real quick. You do want these in order, so make sure to put them in the order that I mentioned here. I've got mine in order. So, and I've got them by each one. So like, let me see here. So all of this is 1, all of this is 2. I've got them separated by batting. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about what we need. So for spool 1, spool of thread 1, excuse Archer sighing. Do you hear him? He's laying next to me. So thread 1. So the way that these work is they're like spools of thread, and the threads we're going to work from bottom to the top. So that's how the order of the fabrics will go. All right, so the first one, and by the way, I did back all of mine with Fusible stabilizer. That's completely optional. For those that have the Clover folding pen, I'll add a link here. The Clover folding pen works really well for these piecing projects. I highly recommend it. You basically put down the fabric right side down, and then when you're going to flip it after you do that seam stitch, you put a little layer of the water solution that is in the pen. It's not just water, but the water solution, and then you flip it over, and it kind of holds it long enough for a little bit more than a finger press and a little less than an actual iron press. So it works really great. And then for the very last step, like if you saw when I did the flying geese, I always iron the entire project before doing that final step, so that everything is held down really well. So the Clover folding pen is really helpful. Excuse my chair here. All right, so let's go over these. So thread 1, these are called threads, but they're the fabrics for spool of thread 1. So the first one is this pink with pink flowers on it, and we're going to start with this at 3x2 3x2 for the first piece. And like I said, I did back all of mine with Fusible stabilizer. I like the look of that. I like it crisp. Totally optional, completely optional on the piecing project, so totally up to you. 3x2 for the first fabric piece, which is called thread 1. And then thread 2 is the yellow and pink flowers, yellow, pink, and gray maybe. Yep, yellow, pink, and gray. And this one we're going to start with at 3.5x2. 3.5x2, and this is for thread 2. And then for thread 3, it is the red with the dots, the lined dots, and this is a directional fabric. I mentioned in the prep video what way to cut it to get it going the right direction. We'll also have to lay it down in the right direction, and it's kind of funny because sometimes I'll lay things a certain way, especially with glitter vinyl and leather. I'll lay in a way that I'm going to be able to use more of the fabrics later, but on these you don't want to. You want to lay them down exactly the way that it's described so that you're utilizing the entire fabric and it's going the right direction. Okay, so on this one, this is thread 3. And this one is going to be 3.5x2. 3.5x2, and again, it's a directional fabric, so watch how you lay it down. And then also another directional fabric. This is thread 4. It's the arrows. And this one is 3.5 by 1.5. 3.5 by 1.5 for thread 4. All right. And again, a directional fabric. And then number 5 and 6, both of these, let me see here, end caps. Oh, how funny. They've got it out of order in the book, but this is going to be 5 and 6. I'm going to tell you the order that they're actually going to be used. So 5 and 6 are both the white with red dots fabric on it. And these are going to be 1.5 by 3.5. You want 2 of them. It's 1.5 by 3.5. It's going to be the 2 side pieces that are next to our spool of thread. All right, so 1.5 by 3.5. Okay, and then the next 2 are the end caps. So the top and the bottom of the spool. It's this gray, it's just a plain gray, silky solid, 2 pieces, and these are called the end caps. There's 2 of them at 4 by 1.5. So this way, 4 by 1.5. And like I said, it's the top and the bottom of the spool. All right, 2 pieces of those. And then that was 7 and 8. So 9 and 10 are some more background pieces. So again, the white with the red dots on it, we want 2 pieces, and these are 4 by 1.5. 4 by 1.5 for background pieces 9 and 10. All right, and then the last 2, these are pieces 11 and 12, background pieces. Again, it's the white with the red dots, and we're going to want these to be 2 by 5.5. So they're going to go this way. They're each of the sides of our thread spools, the end sides. So 2 by 5.5, 2 pieces of these. All right, and that's all of the pieces for spool of thread 1. All right, and then we're going to have our batting, and our batting is 5 by 5. That means our final cut size is 4.5 by 4.5. You want your piece of batting to be 5 by 5. I'm using the Kimberbell project batting. All right, and then I'm using that as my separation between each of them. So then we're on to spool of thread 2, and we're going to start with the blue fabric, blue arrow fabrics. And this one, again, it's a directional fabric, and we're going to start with this at 3 by 2. 3 by 2 for the first one. This is called thread 1. And then thread 2 is the tealish, grayish, not really sure how you call it, but flowers on it and a minty tealish, grayish kind of fabric. And this one we're going to have at 3.5 by 2. 3.5 by 2, that's for thread 2. And then thread 3 is that really pretty blue and green floral. And this one is same as thread 2. Thread 3 is 3.5 by 2. 3.5 by 2, 1 piece, thread 3. And then thread 4, that means it's the top of the thread, because remember I said we're working from bottom to top. So this top piece, this one is the teal. It's a dark teal with blue flowers on it. And this one is going to be thread 4, 3.5 by 1.5. 3.5 by 1.5. All right, and then we have, that was 4, so 5 and 6 are the 2 pieces. It's yellow with yellow flowers on it. And these are going to be 1.5 by 3.5. 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 3.5. It's the yellow with yellow flowers on it. And then we jump to 7 and 8, which are the top and bottom of the spools of thread. And it's a gray silky solid, 2 pieces. It's going to be this way, 2 pieces that are 4 by 1.5. 4 by 1.5 for end cap 7 and 8. All right. And then we have the sides, no, top and bottom, 9 and 10. Yeah, top and bottom, sorry about that. 9 and 10, top and bottom, 4 by 1.5, 2 pieces. It's the yellow with the yellow flowers, 2 pieces that are 4 by 1.5. And then the last 2 are the sides, the far sides, left and right. And these are going to be 2 pieces that are 2 by 5.5, that yellow on yellow background fabric. Background 11 and 12, 2 by 5.5, 2 pieces. All right, and then again your batting, that is 5 by 5, 5 by 5 for your batting. That is all for spool of thread 2. All right, keep those fabrics in order. It makes such a difference when you are piecing a project together. If you've got your fabrics in order, it really makes it easier. All right, so now we're going to start on spool of thread 3. Spool of thread 3 is going to start with this yellow mustardy golden yellow silky solid, and this one is thread 1, and it's 3 by 2. 3 by 2 for the first one of spool of thread 3. And then this one is white with yellow geometric designs on it, and this one is 3.5 by 2. 3.5 by 2 for thread 2. That's the second fabric in our third spool of thread. And then the third one, this is thread 3. It's that yellow with the yellow flowers on it. And this one is also 3.5 by 2. 3.5 by 2 for our third fabric. And our fourth one, that is called thread 4, is the yellow dotted lines. It is a directional fabric, so make sure that you're laying it down the way that I show in the guide. And this one is going to be 3.5 by 1.5. 3.5 by 1.5. All right, and then we jump to the sides. There we are. It is the green silky solid. We have 2 of them. This is pieces 5 and 6, and 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 3.5. 1.5 by 3.5 for these 2 pieces that are on the sides of the spools. And I'm going to go over all of it in photos, and you can just follow the guide. It will be easy, and we're going to bring it over to Embroidering's Essentials and see what we can add together in a hooping and get them to join just right. It's harder on the piece projects, I will tell you, so that this will be a good stretch for us all. All right, so then we are on end cap 7 and 8, and it is that gray silky solid, end cap 7 and 8. These are 2 pieces that are 4 by 1.5. 2 pieces, 4 by 1.5. All right, those are the end caps. So then we jump to 9 and 10, background pieces 9 and 10, and that's 2 pieces of that green silky solid, and these are going to be 4 by 1.5. 4 by 1.5, 2 pieces. It's the top and bottom pieces. And then the 2 sides is our last 2 pieces, and these are background 11 and 12, and they are going to be 2 pieces that are 2 by 5.5. 2 by 5.5 for our last 2 pieces. That is for spool of thread 3. And then again, that 5 by 5 of our batting to finish that one off. It's actually to start. We will start it with our batting. I will show you as we get there. So one important fact on this, so we are going to do part of the quilting in the beginning to be able to get that batting placement and tack down line, and then we will move that last step of the quilting. Remember, it's still the quilting, but it's the last step. It's number 5 of the quilting is the actual quilting design, and we're going to move that to the very bottom of all 3 of these spools so that our quilting will be on the top. So we'll do all of that piecing first, and then we'll do that quilting on top. So you'll see it will be really interesting in embroiderance. I think it's really interesting when we work it that hard, you know, where we're moving things around and changing the color names and all of that. So let me tell you about the quilting real quick. Each of them have a different design, so that will be fun. So spool 1, that's that pink one, the first one. This one is going to be with quilting design Hearts 5 over the top. That will be really pretty. Hearts 5 on the pink one. In a 4x4 design. So it's called KDQ 180 Hearts 5 in a 4x4 design. All right, and then for spool 2, that's the blue one. This one, oops, yeah, that's right, with the yellow, sorry. The yellow is the side. So the blue spool, we're going to use radial lines 2 in a 4x4. Radial lines 2, that's that one that looks like starbursts all over it. That will be really fun. So radial lines 2 in a 4x4 on spool 2, and that one is called KDQ 181. These are all in the bundle for the Oh So Delightful pack of quilting. And then the last one is that yellow spool, and that one we're going to use Hobby 6. That will be really pretty. That's got the scissors and pincushion and spools. Lots of fun things on that one. So that will be also in a 4x4 design. That's Hobby 6, and that's for the third spool. So 3 different quilting designs. So that will add another element to our fun with Brilliance today. And just remember that we are going to move that quilting design to the bottom. That's really important. Whether you're doing one spool of thread in a hoop and doing 3 hoopings, or you're joining them all together, either way, we have to move that quilting, the last part of the quilting, which is the actual quilting design. We'll move that to the bottom so that it will be on top of the top of the spool of thread design, our pieced project. So anyway, I think that's it. It's time to get started. I'm so excited that this is coming along so well. It's going to be fun to start working on our third section of our So Happy quilt. All right, so I'm going to bring you over to the computer and show you how to do it with Embrilliance Essentials or whatever embroidery software you're using. You should be able to transfer over the technique, or do, like I said, do them each individual hooping. That works fine too. Or do it on your machine. So I don't personally like to do that, but some people have the ability to move the designs all around and join and do all of that on your machine. So you can absolutely do that. Whatever works for you. All right, let's get started. Okay, are you ready for some fun? So I am going to open up Embrilliance Essentials. That is the embroidery software that I use. If you are in the market for embroidery software, please click my link. I'll put it up there to purchase Embrilliance Essentials. So it has opened up to my 9x14 hoop, and actually that will be really good. If you have a larger hoop, that would be good too. So we have, if we're going to try and get all 3 in one hooping, and again, you can do 2 in one hooping, each one in a single hoop. Either way works fine. But if you're going to try and get all 3 in one hooping, you want extra space. Piecing projects take more space than regular projects. So each one is 4x4, so 4, 8, 12. So a 8x12 hoop would be too tight for sure, in my opinion, personally. Depending on your braveness, to me it'd be too tight. A 9x14 will be a little bit tight, but I think it's very doable. A 10x16 hoop would be even better, but I don't have my big machine, so you could do this in a 10x16 hoop. Whatever works for you, but I'm on my 9x14 hoop, so I'm going to go with that. If you're not on the hoop size that you want, you would go to this preferences folder, click on the hoop size that you want and say okay, and then click on this compass button and H to be able to zoom into the hoop, or you can use your the scroll button on your mouse to zoom in and out of your hoop. All right, so we're going to start by bringing in the quilting design. We're not going to use all of the quilting design, but we always start with the quilting design. So I'm going to start by going to this merge stitch file, and let's see, I am going to open up my quilting bundle right there. And the first one we want is Hearts 5. I'm going to click on the embroidery files. Block by block is the technique we're using, and Pez is what I use for my machine. And then I'm scrolling down to look for the 4x4. So right there, 4x4 Hearts 5. Double click on that. That is our first one. All right, I'm going to click on this design, and then I'm going to bring it up to the corner. So one thing to keep in mind is, just like I mentioned on the flying geese block that we did, these blocks need more room. And so you don't really want to bring it all the way over to the corner, because you'll need more space than that. So we can move it out of the way for now, but then we will have to move it again, just to make sure that we've got the right amount of space. So for now, I'm just moving it over to the left-hand corner, but not all the way far into the corner. And I will very likely have to move it again, once we just determine the size of the actual thread embroidery design. All right, so that's the first one. I'm going to go ahead. Let me think here. We don't need steps 3 and 4. So I am going to go ahead and click on 3 and 4. I clicked on the right-hand side, and then I dragged over for steps 3 and 4. You can do it that way, or you can click on one and delete, and click on another one and click delete. Either way will work totally fine. I'm clicking on 3 and 4 of step 1. It's one of design 1. So 1, 3 and 1, 4, and I'm clicking delete on my keyboard. All right, because I know that we don't need those 2 parts. So the other parts, we do want to change the colors to make sure that they will group in the way that we want them to group. I'm not sure about this quilting design. I know for sure I want a different color, but I may end up changing the color, just because I may need that default 17 turquoise, but the sprout that will come up. But anyway, well, let's go ahead and just start for now. So click on 1, 1. This first color, and then click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is dark aqua, because I'm using Filtech Glide as my preferred color. So whatever color you use, just make sure that they're the same for all 3 of the designs. All right, so that's 1, 1. So 1, 2, click on the color, and for me the first color that comes up is Blaze. Say okay. And then, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and change this for now. I may change the color back, but we'll see. So I'm going to click on the color. This is on 1, 3, and the first color that comes up for me is Sprout, and I'm going to say okay. All right, so that one is done for now. All right, so I'm going to bring in the next one. I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, and the next one is Radial Lines 2. So I'm closing up Parts 5. Radial Lines 2 is the second folder down. That's what, yep, Radial Lines 2, and then Pez is what I use for my machine. I'm going to scroll down and look for the 4x4 design right there. 4x4 Radial Lines 2, double click on that, and it will go to the center. I'm just going to click on it and use my arrow keys to move it over to the right for now. And I don't need to get exact placement right now, because we will very likely need to move them anyway, but that's what I'm going to do for now. I have the first one over to the left corner and the second one in the middle over to the right. And then same thing, I'm going to click on 3 and 4. So we're on design 2 now. I'm going to highlight 3 and 4, and I'm going to click delete on my keyboard, because I know I don't need those steps. Those are the placement and tack down of the main fabric. And since we don't have a main fabric, we are doing a piecing project, I know that we won't need those. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those. And now I want to change the colors to the same of the top 2. So this default one, so 2, 1, click on the color, and I'm going to change it to dark aqua, just like what we did here on 1, 1. And then on 2, 2, click on the color, and I want to change it to Blaze like we did here in 1, 2. All right, and then this one, this 2, 3, I want a different color. I definitely want a different color for each of these. And I'm going to click on I'm on 2, 3, click on the color, and I used Sprout, so I'm going to go down to the next one, which is Sea Green. And again, I may need to change those, but we'll see. All right, so that one is done. Now I'm going to go to, notice I just clicked outside of the box so that nothing is highlighted, and then I'm going to click on the Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to close up Radial Lines 2 that we already used, and oops, closed a little too far. Where are we? Quilting bundle right there. And then I want Hobby 6, so it's the 4th folder down. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th folder down, embroidery files. They're actually quilting files. Block by block is what the technique we're using, and I'm using Pez. I'm going to scroll down to the 4x4 right there. 4x4 Hobby 6 is what we'll use for our third one. And it goes right to the center. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. You have to click on it to be able to drag it anywhere, and you can use the mouse button, or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. All right, so I'm just going to bring it down. I don't need to get it exactly right because we'll very likely need to move them anyway. So I am going to do the same thing. I clicked outside of the box so that nothing is selected, and I'm going to click on 3 and 4 of design 3. So 3, 3, and 3, 4, and I'm going to click delete. All right, and then same thing, I want to change these colors. So on 3, 1, I'm going to click on the color, and the first color is dark aqua. That's what we used before. And then 3, 2, click on the color, and I want blaze. And again, it doesn't matter what color you use as long as you use the same colors here so that when we do a color sort, they will join. And then 3, 3, I'm going to click on the color, and the third color down for me is mint because we already used the first 2. All right, so those are done for now. And then we want to bring in our spool of thread design. So if we go here to merge stitch file, and I'm going to close up the quilting designs, and I'm going to look for my embroidery files. Let's see here, right there, embroidery files. Pez is what I use for my machine. So Happy is the quilt we're working on, and we're looking for the spool of thread design. They are in alphabetical order. It's a 5x7 spool of thread right there. It doesn't look like a spool of thread. It looks like a whole bunch of lines, but that's what it is. 5x7 spool of thread. Double click on that and it will go to the center. Now, this part I want you to pay attention. See this orange line? This is the placement and tack down of our batting, and we are going to line up this purple line. See this inner purple line square? We're going to line that up over this orange square. All right, that's very important for placement. I wonder if we did a group. Let's try that. So you can do it 2 ways, I think. I'm not absolutely sure. We can test it. So if you click on the design, make sure to click on it. It is design 4 and you want all the parts of it. You can click on that and drag it over and just easily line up. So see, there's that orange line underneath and here's the purple line over top. So that works super easily to just do the orange line and the purple line over that orange line. So I'm going to try one other way just to see if it will work. I'm going to close up all of these others. And if I click on 1 and then click on 4, and let's just see if it will get it in the exact right position doing it this way. If I go to Utility, Align and Distribute, and make sure I have 1 and 4, I used the Control button on my keyboard to select both 1 and 4. And then if I go to Center, it will probably move both of them, but it should join them. Let's just see if it did it right. And it does. So that's the other way that you can do it. You can see that we can't see that orange line because it's underneath the purple. So that works fine. And then while they're both selected, you have 1 and 4 selected, then you can go ahead and move it. Now this is what I was saying, that we may need to move it anyway, because like I mentioned, the piecing projects take more space. So what I'm going to do while they're both selected, I'm going to click this compass button and I'm going to move my crosshairs over to this corner, and then I'm going to use the mouse button on the scroll button on my mouse to zoom in. And you just want to make absolutely sure that these lines here are not going over the hoop. So it looks to me like I can go over to the left a little bit. I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard. If I go up, see how I'm over? It may not be a problem, but it might. And if you do all of this work and then you get to your embroidery machine and your embroidery machine throws a fit, then all that work that you did is a bummer. So it's a really good idea to zoom in and just make sure you're not over that hoop. So I'm just going down enough that using the black squares does help, but in this instance, I think zooming in to be able to look at these lines and make sure they're not over the hoop is very helpful. So that's my suggestion. All right, so now I'm going to click on the H button, the compass, and then the H button to zoom back out to the whole hoop. And so that one is done. So that first one, we have it over our, exactly over our batting placement and tack down. So that is all, that one's perfect. All right, so that one is great. The only thing is we want to make sure to change these colors. So I'm clicking outside of the box, and then I'm going to click on 4 and see all these default blues and oranges all over again. We definitely want to change each of those. All right, so that's going to be really important. So this first one is a dark purple. This is our placement. And by the way, we're going to move those, the quilting designs. We absolutely have to remember to do that, but we'll do that in a little bit. All right, so this default one, dark purple, I don't think there's going to be another one. Let's just scroll through real quick. There's no other dark purple, so we can leave that, this dark purple, or since we're just doing them all anyway, we can go ahead. That might be better just in case. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead. I clicked on 4-1, clicked on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is damson. So I'm going to click on that and say okay. And then we just want to go through these, and we have to remember that we already used one of our blues and one of our oranges, so we have to keep that in mind. And we're just going to change each of these so that they will join in the way that we want. And it's really important on a piecing project that we get each one. All right, so let's just quickly go through all of these. So we're on 4-2 now. Click on the color, and we already used dark aqua in our quilting, so make sure not to use that again and go down to the next one, which is, for me, it's marine. Whatever your second color is, marine. All right, and then 4-3, click on the color. We already used blaze in our quilting, so we're going to go down to the second color, which for me is Oriole, and say okay. All right, then 4-4. See, here's the numbers over here, so you know which number I'm on. Click on the color, and we already used the first two, so the third color down is Hawaiian blue for me, whatever your third color down is. And then 4-5, click on the color, and we want, let's see, we did Oriole. You can always see right here, by the way. So our last color was Oriole, so whatever color after that, for me it's Coral, and say okay. All right, and then 4-6, click on the color. The last color we used was Hawaiian blue. So we're going to use Mercury is the color for me. The 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. And then 4-7, our orange, click on the color, and we want the fourth one down, I'm assuming. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, lava, because we used coral. So fourth color down, say okay. All right, and then for 4-8, click on the color. We want the fifth one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, that's tropical. Say okay. And then 4-9 for orange, we're going to go down to the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, that's strawberry blonde. And then 4-10, click on the color. We want the sixth color down now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for me, that's robin egg. Click on OK. And then 4-11, click on the color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 color down. For me is autumn. Say okay. And then 4-12, click on the color. And we're on the seventh one down now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So I clicked on 6 just to make it go down more so I could see further. And the next one down should be fog. Yep, right there. Robin egg is after robin egg, right there. The next color down for me is fog. Say okay. All right, and then I don't remember, were we on 7? I think we were on 7. So click on, I'm on 4-13 for our color, and then the seventh color down, I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We used autumn, so the next color down for me is salmon. That's the seventh color down. All right, then 4-14, click on the color, and we want the eighth color down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, eighth color down for me is aqua. All right, and say okay. The other one was dark aqua. I had a pause like, wait, didn't we use an aqua? The other one was dark aqua. All right, so then 4-15, click on the color, and we want the eighth color down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is safety orange. That's a bright one. All right, and then 4-16, click on the color, and we want the ninth color down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the ninth color down for me is sky. And then 4-17, click on the color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So right after safety orange is West Point. So we're in the yellows now. So 4-17 is going to be West Point. Say okay. And then 4-18 and click on the color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, you don't have to go through the numbers like this. You could just look at what the last one you used. So the last one was sky. So I can just scroll down, and the next one is electric. And again, it doesn't matter what colors you use. You can go through and pick colors that you like. It doesn't matter at all. It's just kind of easier and faster if you use the first color that comes up. All right, then we're on 419, plus it makes it so that you remember the colors that you've used if there's an order to it. All right, so the last one that we used was West Point of the yellows. So I'm just going to scroll down here. I think I went too far. There's West Point. So the next color down is bright gold. Say okay. And then for 420, click on the color. And the last one we used was electric. So I'm just going to scroll down. And again, I went too far. Let's see. Just make it go down a little bit. There's electric. Sorry about that. All right. After electric is steel blue. All right. And say okay. And then for 421, click on the color. And the last one we used was bright gold. There's West Point. There's bright gold. The next one is Jubilee. That's in one of our packs. I don't remember if it's OSD or Red, White, and Bloom because we're working on both of those. I think it's Red, White, and Bloom. Anyway, so Jubilee is for 421. Say okay. And we only have a couple more. 422. Click on the color. And our last one was steel blue. So I'm just moving down here. There's steel blue. The next one is ocean. All right. And then 423. Click on the color. Last one we used was Jubilee. And there's Jubilee. The next one down from that is Buttercup. That's in one of our recent packs also. Buttercup. All right, that's for 423. Then for 424, I'm just going to go ahead and click on that and click on the first color, which will be black, just so that we know we don't have any defaults just in case. All right, and there is a Buttercup and a Buttermilk. That's funny. What is this one? Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's the little piece of thread coming off of our spool of thread. That's cute. I'm going to go ahead and change that though, just so that they're all changed. So we're on 425. I'm going to click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is cornflower. So I'm going to say okay. All right, so that is all done. Took a little bit of time, but the nice thing is now we can just do a copy and paste for the other two, and we don't have to do any more changes for that part. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I just scrolled up, and then I'm going to close 4, and 4 is our spool of thread. That's the first one, and we want that same one for the next two. So I'm going to go ahead and say Control C to copy, and then Control V like victory to paste another one. And it's right on top of the first one, so it doesn't look like it did anything, but it does. So I'm going to just click on the stitching and bring it over. And again, you can line up your purple box with your orange box, or which is really easy. I can see it really well. If your eyesight isn't super great, there's a easy way also, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you close up this fifth design, we're going to have 2. We know that that's the quilting design, and then hit your control button on your keyboard and click on number 5, and then you go to utility, align and distribute, and then center, and say apply, and you can see it went right back to over that orange line. I'm going to close this, but it also moved it up a little, so I just want to move it down just so that I've got a little bit more room. So you just have to keep that in mind and make sure that when you're moving it, you're doing it with both of the designs selected. So it's number 2 and number 5 is this middle one, and I'm just going to bring it over, and that works great. Okay. So then we are on the last one. So we can hit, it's already copied and pasted from before, or it's copied, sorry. So then we can hit Control V like victory, and it's made a sixth design design, and that is on top of this first one. So we're just going to go ahead and click on the stitching and bring it down. And again, you can line it up easily from the purple square over the orange square, or you can do it the way we did before, closing this box. And this one, it would be number 3. That's our third quilting design. And number 6 is the next spool. So if we go have both of those, make sure to hit the control button so that you have 3 and 6 selected, and then go to utility, align and distribute, and then center, and we will need to move it. Either way, we'll probably need to move it, even if you don't do it this way. And then go ahead and move it over. But then this is that one that we want to make sure it's not over this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this compass button, and I'm going to move this crosshairs over to where I want to see, and then I'm going to use my mouse button to zoom in. And you can see I'm over that hoop line. This yellow outer line here, that's our hoop line. So it's really important to not be over that hoop line. And so I'm going to just, while they're both selected, 3 and 6 are selected, I'm going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard to move it up just a bit and then over. It looks like I can go over, maybe not so much. I'm going to just keep it there. All right, so it's got that tiny little bit of space just to make sure that we're not over the hoop line. And then I'm going to go back to the compass button and hit H again. Those are perfect. All right, now don't forget, this is really important. Don't forget that number 5 of the quilting, that last step of the first 3 designs are the quilting. We want that to be last. It's very important to have that last. And there's a few ways you can do that. I'm going to do it probably a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and just copy all of this. All right, so I'm going to click down here at the bottom and then scroll up so that I've got all 6 designs, and I'm going to say Control C to copy, and then I'm going to go to File, New Page, and it creates a new tab. So see, we've got everything here on this first tab, and then the second tab is empty, and I'm going to hit Control V like victory to paste it all. And so I've got all of those 6 designs. You can see all 6 designs are here. But all I want is the quilting, okay? So really easily, I can go to 4, 5, and 6. That is the piecing part of the project. I clicked on the right-hand side and dragged over to get 4, 5, and 6, and I'm going to delete these because we have them on Untitled 1. All we're worried about right now is the quilting of this one. So I'm going to click on open up each of these, the little plus signs, and I'm going to click on the first 2 parts of the design and click delete. See, I'm just keeping the quilting design of each of these. So that was number 1. For design 2, click on the first 2, 1 and 2, and click delete so that all I have is the quilting design. And then same thing for number 3, click on 1 and 2 and click delete. So now I have just the quilting designs of these 3, and they are centered exactly where they should be if Embrilliance doesn't move them, which we should be able to tell pretty easily now that we saw what happened on the flying geese. But we have these all saved so that we can import them in as the last step. Okay, so I'm going to, and they're already changed too, and they're changed in colors that we can leave. I was a little concerned. I seem to recall we used a mint though. Did we use a mint? We should check and make sure. So on Untitled 1, let's see here. I'm going to look at these real quick just to make sure we didn't have a mint. No, it looks like we're okay. There's no mint. We just want to make sure that they're different colors so that they don't join. We have a marine and a mercury, and we don't have mint. We're good. We have blues instead of aquas. Okay, so these are all good. Now we're on that first tab. So this second tab is just our quilting designs, the 3 quilting designs that we need to add to the top. But we currently already have them on here, but they're not on the top. If we did our design this way, it would be underneath our piece project, and you would not see the quilting. Kind of silly, right? So we're going to go ahead and open up each of these first 3. So this first one, I've got the first design, and here is our, the third part is our quilting design. And I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. All right. You could try and move it. I've tried before to just move it, and it doesn't let you do it. It stays within this part of the design. And so it's kind of odd. After we do a color sort, we can move it though. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and delete it right now. I'm on the first design, 1, 3. I've got that selected, just 1, 3, and I'm clicking delete. All right. That was for number 1. Now I'm opening number 2, clicking on 2, 3, and clicking delete. Close up number 2. Now we're on number 3, and 3, 3 is the quilting design. Click delete. All right. So now we have the first 2 steps of our quilting, which is the placement and the tack down of the batting, and then we have our piece projects for all 3 of these. So that's all perfect. Now what we want to do is bring in the quilting design on top of all of that. So I'm going to go ahead. You could actually do your color sort now and then bring over, because it's not going to join those anyway, but let's just bring them over and see how we do. So we're on Untitled 1. That's our first tab. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to unselect that. There was one thing selected. I'm just going to click outside of the box so nothing's selected. And then Untitled 2. So if we click down and drag up, we make sure to have all 3 of those designs. All right. Now I'm going to say Control C to copy, and I'm going to go back to Untitled 1, and I'm going to say Control V, like victory, to paste them, and see what it did. It brought it down to the bottom. All right. So 7, 8, and 9 are now our quilting designs, and they're at the bottom of all the other designs. All right. Does that make sense? I hope I haven't confused you. I've done it step by step though, so just follow along and you'll do great. So you can see that these are lined up perfectly now because we saved them in the other tab over here. They're all lined up exactly where we want them to be. Now, as long as we do our color sort and everything stays that way, we will have to check it to make sure, just like we always check after we do a color sort. So that's not a problem. So look at this down here. We have 84 color steps. 84. Like we're going to be doing this for days, right? But we can reduce it down because we changed those colors so that they will join. So that means that when we're doing our piecing projects, we, instead of putting down one fabric, we'll do it on each of our 3 designs, and that will be great. You can certainly do these separately, like I mentioned, or if you wanted to, you could bring each of these in as one design and then another design. You could have them be separated. You don't have to do a color sort. So if you didn't do a color sort, it would run through all of each one separately. And you could do that. If you find it too stressful to put the 3 fabrics down, that's another way of doing it too. Totally optional. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Utility Color Sort. And it thinks, and it's reduced it by 54 color changes. How cool is that? Don't forget, you want these exact same settings that I have to get the same results. That's very important. So I don't have RHS pre-sort selected. I don't have force applique position or material selected. And most importantly, tolerance is at 0. All right. So make sure you've got these same results when you run your color sort. Now, always click New View to make sure that it did what you wanted it to do and what you think that it should do. And I'm just looking real quick to make sure that our quilting design is still where it's supposed to be. If we look at it we're on Untitled 3 now, we can look at Untitled 1 to see if it moved at all, to see if anything looks different. We're at 9 3/8 by 14 1/8. Let's see, 9 3/8 by 14 1/8. So it's funny, it looks like it moved just a tiny bit. So I'm going to just zoom in like we did before. I'm going to move this crosshair and just make sure we're not over the hoop line at all. And we're not. That's all perfect. How about the bottom one? Yep, it looks great. No problem at all. All right, so that all worked out well. I'm going to go back to H to see all of it. And I'm going to just quickly look at all of these to make sure that it did what I think it should have done. So there is our placement for our batting and our tack down for our batting. there's where we have our placement guide for, is it called the placement guide? Let's see. The template, the piecing template, that's what it's called. And we'll do that right on our batting. All right. We've already got our batting down and trimmed at that point, and then we'll run the piecing template. And then we have all of the first step, second step, third step, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12, 13, 14. See, these are all together. It's perfect. 15, 16, 17. I don't remember if I added a number there. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And then there, that's the tack down of all of them. And that's where we want to make sure to iron before we do this one so that everything is flat and there's no bubbles or fabric sticking up or anything like that. And then there's that thread on all of them. And then it runs through the 3 quilting designs. And those are separated so that we can do a different color on each of them. So that's perfect. How cool was that? Don't you feel so accomplished right now? That was pretty exciting. All right, so now we have 30 color steps instead of 84, I think is what it was before. So we did a fantastic job. So I'm going to do a file, save stitch file as, and I'm in So Happy. So I'm going to name this Spool of Thread ×3. All right, name it whatever will help you to remember how to find it. And it's asking you where you want it. For me, it went right back into my So Happy folder. You could save it to your desktop, whatever works for you. I do recommend saving it in the folder that you got it from, just because if you do another one of these quilts later, then you'll have it already done and you can do it all again without any of the work of it. So awesome, awesome, awesome job. I want to hear if you learned anything new here, if you added in more than one in a hooping and got brave, because it's harder on the piece projects. It is definitely harder. And so I just want to hear how you're doing it, how your technique is. So what are you doing for your goal? Are you working hard toward your goal? My goal for Oh So Delightful is to find joy and good vibes, things that bring joy. I didn't get a workout last night because I actually worked till about 1 o'clock in the morning. I worked on our tutorial and then it took an extra 44 minutes for it to load to YouTube. Had some trouble with that. So I didn't get in a workout. But something that brought me joy today, my father passed away today 15 years ago, and it's just kind of cool to have all those memories, you know, all the things that you think about on days like this. I mean, honestly, I think about my dad pretty much every day, honestly, but just the memories, right? The memories of phenomenal people in our life that taught us how to be our best selves. And he was a phenomenal man, just amazing man. So anyway, lots of happy memories. That's something that definitely brings me joy today, that God chose him as my dad, and like he couldn't have been a better father. Absolutely could not have been better. He died from cancer 15 years ago, and just very, very thankful that he was in my life. I wish it was longer. But anyway, so what brought you joy today, or whatever your goal is, whether it's working out, eating healthy, getting your craft room organized, working on older projects, finding joy, getting outside when it's horrible here today. So I did go for a long walk with my dog this morning, but whatever your goal is, I want to hear about it. Please share. And my shirt today is a really fun one. I love this shirt. So it says, "Stop wishing, start doing." And it's got the inspirational wording down the side of it. And so I just thought, what a fun quote. And my friend Margie actually sent me a picture of this design. It was Embroidery Library, I'm pretty sure. But I'll add information underneath this video. But anyway, Margie sent me a message and she saw that it was bikes with the wishing dandelions. And so she sent me a picture saying, "Oh, you need this." And I that day bought the design and then made the shirt. And what a fun shirt to have on hand. I had this on hand waiting for something fun for it, and so it just worked out really well. And I love this one. I really, really love this one. So I will add information underneath the video of where I got the design that Margie recommended for me. It's a really, really fun one. And the shirt actually is from my local Fred Meyer that I bought a few years ago and had it sitting in a drawer just waiting to embroider on. Do you have that? Like, a lot of people they're probably smart enough to actually wear the clothes until they have a design that they want to put on it, and I don't. I get a new shirt or something and think of what I want to put on it, and then I put it in a drawer, a specific drawer for embroidery, just waiting until I get a chance that I can put something on, or I see a design that I'm like, "Ooh, I definitely want to embroider that on a shirt." So I have a drawer full of shirts just waiting to be embroidered on. And it makes it fun so that if you see a design, you're like, "Oh yeah, oh, and I have a call."